Hello, hello.
What's up, bro?
Not much. How you doing?
Pretty good. It's hot.
Yeah, it's hot here too. It's like 72 degrees here. I'm burning up.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. It's that climate change.
So I'm sitting here with Amy, Jennifer, and
Hi,
Tiff.
Amy.
Hey there.
Hey.
Hi.
Hello.
Pretty sure you said you were going to call me within 2 weeks, and I think you're operating on man time.
Uh-oh, not calling somebody out already.
Wait,
Yeah.
what'd you say?
He told me he was going to call me within 2 weeks, and that was like a month ago.
Hold on. You said Amy, Jennifer, and who?
Amy, Jennifer, and Tiff.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, Jonathan, you're in trouble for not calling Amy.
I just like 2 days.
Oh, he said he just got your number on his list like 2 days ago.
Sure.
I swear.
All right, I'll let it slide.
So Jonathan, to start us off again, can you just give like a brief rundown of your case? You can just sum it up in like a sentence or two if you want to.
Oh God. Well, so like, all right. So my name's Johnathan Cruz. Got locked up 8 years ago when I was 19 in Indianapolis for what they said was I don't know what they classify it as now. I guess like a spree shooting or spree robbery / shooting men. They said it was inspired by the movie Purge, and now I'm sitting in prison for it. So yeah, that's basically it.
Was it inspired by the movie?
I didn't even see that movie until after I got locked up. And once they said that's what it was inspired by, I had to watch the movie. When I watched the movie, I didn't get it. Like, I'm like, this is about the rich white people in a neighborhood trying to shoot each other over nonsense. Like, I don't understand it.
Weird.
Yeah, I didn't even have a TV when I got locked up. Like, I had my own studio apartment, but I didn't even have no TV in there because I was just always gone.
That's crazy.
So no, it's not inspired by a movie. But I guess out of all the names out there, like Happy Face Killer and all that stuff, I guess that's an okay name.
Hey, you could have been the Doodler. The Doodler is a unsolved serial killer case.
Yeah, that would have been a fun name for people to call you in prison, is the Doodler.
Hey, wasn't there a guy who did that? He was like drawing pictures of people. Might have been a guy who was drawing pictures of guys and then he would kill them.
Yeah. He was drawing pictures of the victims, I think, and leaving them at the crime scenes or sending them to police, something like that.
So see, there was a doodler.
Yeah,
Now that's unfortunate.
I keep wanting to say it was Howard Belcher, but I know it's not him.
No, Howard Belcher's the crazy African American inmate who hates other African Americans and like is just, his case is insane. He told me he was innocent because you can't strangle somebody fatter than you, and I was just like, okay, Howie. Yeah, he killed a few men. He killed a few men in Georgia and said that he was innocent because you can't kill somebody that's fatter than you.
Good to know.
You already defend yourself with in court.
Yeah. Yeah, super crazy.
Wow. Yeah, you talk to some interesting people, like the vampire guy.
Oh, yeah. Joshua Rudiger. Yeah, he's a very interesting dude.
Oh, wait. We're not talking about, what's his name? Nico?
Huh?
Nico.
No, I told him about Joshua Rudiger, the vampire slasher, and I sent Jennifer the interview, and she thought he was pretty interesting too. And yeah, he's really out there. He's like one of the worst mentally ill / DD inmates I've ever spoke to.
When I heard him on the phone, I felt bad for him until I heard what he did, and then I'm like,
was
he
almost
like
uncomfortable.
mentally like slow, you know.
Oh yeah, he's definitely slow. I feel bad for him. He had a horrible childhood too. His mom was a drug addicted prostitute, and yeah, his childhood was horrible. But luckily, he was adopted by like loving parents. But that didn't seem to really help him, and he still went down the wrong path.
Yeah. Like, even though when I heard him talk, I could tell he's, you know, like he's got some type of problem with his mental, but so now he knows what he's doing. It's messed up, you know, like he's not completely gone.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, he gets off on the fact like he sacrificed people to the quote unquote devil, and he gets off on being the antichrist and everything. Obviously, he's mentally ill and then some, but yeah, he knows what he's doing is wrong. He just doesn't care.
Yeah, he needs to watch that show they got out called Interview with the Vampire, because they don't do that.
Yeah, he loves vampire movies.
Yeah, I like vampire movies too, but I'm not copying that.
Right. So hey, I'm curious. I talked to so many different prisoners across the world, not only the United States but like Mexico and the UK and stuff like that. I'm curious how the mental health staff is there and how they treat you guys. Like, being that you're in solitary confinement, do you actually have access to mental health services if you want it or need it?
Well, it's changed up since I've been to prison. When I first got to prison 8 years ago, if you had mental health problems, they would keep you in a separate building where you have a window in your cell if you're in solitary confinement, and you know, you had a lot more access to mental health. But I'm locked up in solitary confinement now, and there's people back there that have been, you know, like peeing on themselves and like they just sit in a room all day in their own filth, and the mental health don't care. Because I feel like in the state of Indiana, there's either one or two like mental asylums, and they closed all the rest down. So most of the mentally ill people, they just send to prison, and the state gets paid for having people locked up. You know, they make money out of people locked up. So most of the people that's locked up are mental patients that need to be in asylum. You know, so they'll get released from prison, go home, and light a tree on fire, or you know, kick somebody's dog in the face, or you know, like jump on somebody's car, like, you know, like they'll just do crazy stuff, and they'll be right back in prison, you know, like a couple months later. And so now, no, there's not no real mental health place. And I've actually been to the prison mental health facility where they send you. I was only there for 3 days by, you know, circumstance, and I watched what they do to them, and that place is messed up. They don't hit you when they shoot you up with some drug called like Halorazol or something like that, and it makes them just stand in a room and talk to themselves. Like, they don't go to sleep like Thorazine shots, but they just sit in a room and talk to themselves all day. And yeah, it's so as for mental health in the state of Indiana, there is really none at all, like whatsoever. And that's why people keep coming back to prison. I don't know if it's like that in other states, but it's like that here. And here, they'll give you 10 years in solitary confinement with no problems. Like, they don't care. There's this one guy back here. He's been back for 16 years straight. He hasn't been out one time. And, you know, you're not, human beings aren't supposed to sit in a room for 16 years straight on 24-hour lockdown. You know, like, that's just now make your mind deteriorate. But so they expect you to sit in a room for 4 years straight and then go back to general population in prison and be completely normal. And that's not going to happen at all, you know. So, and then they're wondering why their other inmates and their correctional officers are being assaulted or stabbed, you know. And I can tell you why, you know, because there's nothing going on to help inmates. If you're going home, if you got a short out date, like you're about to be released, they will try to help you. But if you got a long time in prison like I do, they don't care whatsoever. But that's only messing up themselves in the end, because the people that are going home, they're going home. The people that they have to deal with for the rest of their lives is the people they should be worried about because we're the people they got to deal with for the rest of their lives, you know? So, I mean, yeah, the mental health facility in Indiana is messed up. When I was locked up in 4 years in Florida when I was a juvenile, I was locked up from the age of 14 to 18. And mental health there was way better. I've been to actual mental health facilities, like outside of being locked up in Florida. And like they're way better. Like Florida mental health, they take that way more seriously than Indiana.
So what's the most severe, like, mentally ill person you're locked up with? Like, is there anybody back there that's like so far gone?
You said what?
Who's the most like severe mentally ill person back there with you? Like, what types of things do they do on a daily basis?
Well, I was locked up with this one guy. His name was Stewart. He wouldn't talk to you unless you were in front of his cell. He would talk to himself all day though, and so you would think he's just really gone, but he would just pee and poop all on the floor and wipe it all over the walls and the vents and the mirrors in his room, and then he'll take his tray. I don't know if he ever ate anything off the tray or not because he was so skinny. I'm assuming he ate at least a couple things off of his tray and then threw the rest of it on the floor. And he would just stack up trays. There'd be like 30 trays in his room. All the rats would come in his room that night, and he would sleep on the floor. So I'm assuming he just slept around a bunch of mouses that night, and he would just sit in his room like that for months. And eventually the smell would be so bad that they would come in there and force him to take a shower or something like that. But when they talk to him face to face, he would talk normal. But as soon as they left, he wouldn't talk to nobody else, and he'll start talking to himself. So it was weird. And, you know, I talked to the mental health lady about it. I'm like, you know that he's, like, doesn't belong here. Like, he's mentally messed up. And she was like, I forget what she said. She tried to argue with me at first, you know, because she has a degree. Like, she knows it all because she read some psychology book. But, I mean, I've read the same books. And then she finally, like, we talked about it again, and she's like, yeah, he's about to go home. And he went home, and that was a month ago, and I heard he's already locked back up. So, I mean, he has a meth pipe tattooed on his face. So,
A meth pipe?
I'm assuming he probably lost his... Yeah, so he probably smoked the wrong meth or smoked too much meth. That's what happens to a lot of people in prison. They'll smoke or snort meth. They think it's meth, but really it's like bath salts. And the bath salts, the chemical in there messes their mind up and they never come back normal. Or they smoke the paper with the K2 on it, and no one really knows what they're smoking when they smoke that. And some people, their minds can't take it, and they'll never be the same again. But yeah, I think that guy Stewart was probably the worst guy I've seen over the last, like, 4 years.
Wow, that's really sad.
Yeah, this is normal. I'm kind of used to it.
Yeah. So in California, on California death row, they have something called a 602. Like, let's say an officer refuses to let you shower or go to the yard or something like that. You can file a 602 against them, and it goes to the warden, or it goes to the sergeant, and then it goes to the warden, and so on and so forth, up the chain of command. Like, do you guys have things like that there where you can file complaints against officers that goes through, like, the chain of command?
Here, it's this normal piece of paper called a grievance. If you file a grievance, I always tell people to do a lawsuit immediately. Just go for a lawsuit. So what you got to do is you file a grievance. The grievance will go to a grievance officer. The grievance officer here is always going to say something that's going to make you so mad, it's going to make you not want to file grievances. Because no matter what you say, you can say that your sink is broken, and she will come, have your sink fixed, and 3 weeks later, and then give you a grievance, the grievance reply back, and say there's nothing wrong with your sink. You know, before they admit wrongdoing, they will try to fix the situation, and then send you a grievance reply back, and pretty much tell you that you're stupid. So up here, when people have issues, I tell them to file a grievance, get the appeal back, and file a grievance appeal, which will go to the warden. The warden is going to say something stupid too, get that appeal back, and then you file it downstate to Indianapolis office. And after you get that, you can file a 1983 civil case lawsuit. And then from there, you just got to take it to court, and eventually they'll settle out. I've seen so many people settle out lawsuits in this state. It's crazy. Like, that's the thing people do in Indiana. They just file lawsuits because they know they're always going to get money, because these prisons, they're not going to help nobody, you know. So I seen one guy, he won like $200,000 on a lawsuit about some little, you know, like, because these COs here, they're not trained to do the right thing. They'll take COs that are, you know, 19, 20, 21. They have no idea what they're getting themselves into or what they're doing. They'll come here with their mace and they'll do all type of things they're not supposed to do, and they'll get a lawsuit put in on them, you know. And so that's really what's going on here. I mean, I don't know about 602s or whatever you said, but yeah, it's just regular grievances. And if I don't really file grievances because, I mean, I just realized a long time ago, I just waste my time doing it. If I'm going to do anything, I'll just try to fix it myself, or I'll make the police, the COs fix it.
What happens to correctional officers when like a civil lawsuit is successful? Like, do they get fired or lose their jobs, or do they just get like a slap on the wrist?
Well, see, I've seen one of my brothers file a lawsuit, and he didn't file a lawsuit just on the prison. He filed a lawsuit on the medical company that was working in the prison. He filed a lawsuit on the assistant warden, the warden, and the CO themselves. So when he settled, everybody that was on that list had to pay money. So including that CO that he filed a lawsuit on, they had to pay money too. So, but not everybody does that. 9 times out of 10, the CO will just get a slap on the wrist, unless it's something very bad, you know. Like for instance, the COs jumped somebody not too long ago, and they broke this guy's ribs and his sternum and his arm and stuff like that when they jumped him, and all of them COs got fired. But that guy won like $60,000 from suing them, you know. So I mean, it just depends on the offense. Sometimes it'll be a slap on the wrist. Sometimes they'll get fired.
That's crazy.
So I have a question that has nothing to do with any of that. It's completely personal. And you don't have to answer it. You can just tell me absolutely not. But I'm kind of new to this. So are you still in touch with the girlfriend you had at the time? Because I really am like brand new to sitting in on guys like this. So if that's inappropriate, I apologize. But I am, well, you know, curious.
Did you ask, is he still in touch with his girlfriend that he had at the time?
Yeah, and you know, any of that.
Yeah, so are you still in touch with your girlfriend that you had at the time when you caught your case?
You said the one when I caught my case?
Yeah.
I don't think I had a girlfriend when I caught my case. No, I had broke up with my girlfriend the day before I got arrested over some Facebook messages I found on her phone.
You have 1 minute remaining.
I'm about to call right back.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Thank you for using GTL.
I hope I didn't ask anything inappropriate, but what I read.
No, he's real. It takes a lot to make him mad, you know. So.
And this is one of my best friends, Stephanie. She's a PI, so I just thought she's kind of. She came. I was like, hey, I shared it out. She came in, brought her up.
Hey, Stephanie.
She knows her stuff, and she's. I'm not going to give her background, but she knows her stuff. As far as the PI stuff goes, I trust her, and I hope it's okay. If not, you know, I'm sorry. But
Oh yeah, it's totally fine.
I didn't think anybody would really care.
What state are you a PI in? By the way, I have blank messages or blank things coming up again.
Florida.
That is so weird.
Well,
Amy,
the
that
whole
you're
blank thing, because see, I can see it. It says, hey, then it says Florida. It's loud. Yeah. Yeah. It's summer. Yeah.
No, it's the one that's right above Stephanie's Florida. It's blank for me.
So, okay, I'm fixing to be out of where I am. So,
Quick.
Stephanie, I have to talk to you too. So, after this is over, we'll have to get together. Um, Nothing about the case here. I find him very fast. I'm dying to ask him about the victims, but I don't want to overstep, and I don't know what I can ask and what I can't.
Oh no, you can ask him about the victims. He's pretty open, and I mean he's different. Like he's more quote unquote normal than the other killers I talked to. Like he's very articulate, very intelligent, and has nothing to hide really.
Does he admit? I read an article 5 minutes before I jumped on, but from what I read in the article, I mean, does he admit guilt? I mean, right? Or
Oh yeah, he admits guilt.
okay.
He takes full responsibility.
Okay.
An inmate at the Indiana Department of
I'll ask him that after he answers your last question.
And then I'm gonna mute because I don't want to take up the whole.
Okay.
Your current balance is $18.83. This call is from a correction facility and is subject to monitoring and recording. Thank you for using GTL.
All right. Yeah. So before you got cut off, you were talking about you had broke up with your girlfriend like the day before because you saw some Facebook messages.
Yeah, this was like, I think 2 days after the last murder. I was with one of my brothers. I'm talking like a gang brother, not like a real brother. But I was with him and his girlfriend, and we're sitting on the couch, and I had her phone because I was doing something, and I seen the message pop up, and I could tell that the messages beforehand were deleted, you know, and it was some guy flirting with her. So I asked him, like, who? At first I didn't say nothing. I showed my brother, and he just started shaking his head, you know, and he said something like, females aren't nothing, you know. And so then I asked her, and she's like, that's this guy that's living in the house with her, but he's living with her cousin. So my first mind was to go over there and mess this guy up, you know, because even though he might not know me, but back then specifically, I'd like to set examples like, okay, I'm not going to put my hands on her because she's a woman, but I can put my hands on him because he knows my name, you know, like he knows enough to, you know, even if she's egging him on to cheat, then I mean, that's just how I was back then. I was, you know, I just always trying to set examples and prove myself. And I think I kind of enjoy violence. So yeah, instead of going over there though, I broke up with her, and the last place that I was at was the place I got locked up at. Like I drove in her car to that place, and then gave her car keys and told her to leave. And then 2 days later, at that same place that I got dropped off at, I got arrested. But yeah, I still talk to her. I talked to her like, I think it was about 5 months ago. She's got a kid now. She's doing good. I've really talked to almost everybody that I talked to before I got locked up, except for the people I cut off. I cut off a lot of people because as I grew older and became more of a man, I realized that a lot of people I used to hang out with, like, after you get to a certain age, if you're not going to change your life, then what's the point, you know? So a lot of the people that I used to talk to are still out there doing drugs. You know, they're not making nothing of themselves. So even though I'm in prison and I may not come home, there's a strong possibility I may not come home, that doesn't mean I'm going to waste my life, you know, sitting here doing nothing. So as for talking to somebody, wasting my time when they're not trying to change themselves for the better, then there's no point in me doing that. So, yeah, I still talk to her. I still talk to a lot of people, really.
That's good. It's good that you have a support system in there.
Yeah, sometimes I have to support them more than they support me, but yeah.
Right. Tiff, what was your other question?
If he had any, I actually answered it himself before I could even ask it, about cutting off people from the outside was one of the things that I was going to ask, and I applaud for that, because that's a hard thing to do, to let go of people who are toxic on the outside or the inside. So, I mean, also, I'm curious also, this is the last one. Is it, how do you feel now about the actual incidences that took place, the quote purge stuff? I just want to know if there's remorse or anything. I mean, I know there's remorse, but is there any contact with the family as far as forgiveness and stuff like that?
So you
Goes
said, how
emotional
did the
more than
murders take
legal.
place, and does he have remorse?
I'm having a hard time hearing, so I don't know if you really hear
Yeah, there's a little bit background noise because people are yelling right now, but that's just, I mean, because that's
Yeah,
he's in solitary confinement, so that's how it is, like, every day.
it doesn't matter. The important question was answered, and I applaud him for cutting people off.
A little bit.
He's gonna try to make it a little bit quieter by going under the sheet.
What does under the sheet mean?
How did yeah, I just put a blanket over my head. Matter of fact, I'm about to tell this dude to stop screaming about before I get angry. I'm not really not trying to show my temper on the phone. I'm gonna go on the sheet because I'm gonna get mad. Hold on. My apologies. Okay.
Sorry. I'm outside, so my dogs are walking around.
Yeah, it's a little bit better now. It's a little quieter.
So her question was, how did the murderers take place, and do I have remorse?
Yeah.
All right, so I mean, honestly, I was selling drugs out there, and we went to a party, and while we were going to the party, somebody like robbed our house, like they kicked in our front door. I'm guessing they knew that we were selling drugs, and they went there and took all my money and all my drugs and all my guns and basically anything with value that was in the house, like game systems, stuff. The game system wasn't even mine, but they took that too. And so I don't know. I still have a temper, but back then my temper was real bad. So I just was like, okay, we're gonna go on basically like a night of robbing. Like we're gonna try to set people up on Facebook, like, because on Facebook we'll just put like, I'm trying to buy some ride, which is weed, and people that are selling weed will hit us up in the inbox, and we'll be like, well, I got ounces of weed for this price, and so we were trying to rob weed dealers or anybody with guns or heroin, whatever we could rob that I could make money off of, we were trying to rob. And so we started doing that at first, but we were already known for committing robberies, like in the little circles we were at, especially me, because I was known because back then I looked like a pretty boy, except for the star on my face, and that's all I did was do crazy stuff, right? And so once we were driving around for like 3 or 4 hours and we couldn't find nobody to rob, the night was getting late, so I'm like, screw it, we're just gonna rob any man walking on the street that we see. I'm just gonna hop out the car and rob him. So we were doing that all night, and I think the fourth guy that we robbed was the first murder. And, basically tried to rob him. He started cussing at me, called me a racist slur, which made me mad. And he really wasn't cooperating with the robbery. And my temper did get the best of me. And I squeezed the trigger, and you know what happened next. I feel remorse for that one because I feel like my temper got the best of me because it's not like he put up a major fight. I really just got mad because he cussed at me and called me a racist slur. And, you know, he just, I feel like he thought that he was so tough, even though I had a gun on him, you know, like, so I shot. As for the second murder, he told me that he had a gun on him. First, I just tried to fight him, you know, I wasn't even going to pull out my gun. He told me that he had a gun on him. When I pulled my gun out, then he said he didn't have a gun on him. And then he tried to run. I told him beforehand, don't run. Because if he ran and he did have a gun on him, then we can just duck behind the car and start shooting at me. So I'm not going to let somebody just shoot at me when I already got the upper hand, you know. And long story short, he didn't listen to the several warnings I gave him, and I shot him. And when I read the police reports, he had just got done robbing an old lady with a knife. And he took, it was $1,400 from her. So that's why he didn't want to give up his money, because he just robbed somebody for that money because he was addicted to crack. They originally thought it was the crack dealer that killed him because he had just got done calling the crack dealer the N-word. So I don't feel remorse about that one at all because, I mean, he just got done robbing somebody. So, like, I mean, he was obviously committing crimes. He was committing robberies himself, throwing knives at an old lady. So, I mean, I really don't feel bad about that. 2 days later, the Mexican guy, he thought that I told him I was a 15-year-old or 16-year-old boy, and he was trying to have sex with me. And even when I pulled the gun on him, he still reached for his own gun to shoot me, and I shot first, and he died. So I felt bad about leaving the mother of his kids without a father. I felt bad for that because now he has a bunch of kids, and his wife or girlfriend or whatever, she has to raise them kids by herself. So I feel bad for that. But I don't feel bad for him being shot simply because he was from what he knew, he was about to have sex with a 15-year-old boy, and he pulled a gun out to shoot me. So I mean, you know, he's not clean, he's not innocent in my eyes. So I don't feel remorse about that either. I mean, that's just all honesty. I try not to lie. I know some people, I don't really care what people think about me. If I'm going to talk about this, I'm just not going to lie, you know?
I
So that's
appreciate
about
that.
the answer to those questions.
I think the truth, I mean, it sets you free.
It does.
It sets you free.
Has the family, I know the other thing I was going to ask was if the family had forgiven. I think was the last question I was asking. That's on my mind.
Have the families forgiven him?
Yeah.
All right, so I've never had anyone reach out to me when it came to the families. And honestly, when they were giving their remarks, I was not paying any attention to them because the homicide detective was right across the room from me, smiling at me the whole time. So I was just looking at him, smiling back at him because, you know, he was smiling at me the whole time like, yeah, I got you, ha, I won. So I was smiling back to him like I don't care, you know, like I knew what I was doing was getting killed or sent to prison, so you didn't win. Like I felt like we were having, what's it called, telepathy, like we were talking to each other without talking. And like I seen all the family members, and I seen the Mexican man, his wife was crying and stuff, but I wasn't listening to what they were saying, honestly, because if I was in their shoes, I wouldn't forgive me. you know. So, I mean, I wouldn't expect them to forgive me. So I honestly don't know. And I would never expect them to reach out to me. And I don't expect them to. If they forgive me, you know, like God bless them, you know, that takes a strong person to forgive someone that murdered one of your loved ones. But I don't know if they did or not.
Wow.
So let's say hypothetically they did reach out to you. Is there anything that you would say to them?
I mean, depending on what they said, I guess, and what type of mood I was in. Like, if they reached out to me, like, disrespectful, then either one or two things would happen depending on my mood. Either I would ignore them or I would disrespect them back, depending on how I'm feeling. If they reached out to me, like, asking what happened, it depends, honestly, because I wouldn't want to disrespect the dead to them because that's their family that they loved. So I don't really know what I would do and say because I don't know. I might just ignore them, honestly, or you know, just I don't know. I don't know how to. I know how to act when it comes to a lot of situations because I've learned from somebody else or I've been through these situations myself, but I've never been through one of them situations or seen anyone else go through one of those situations. So I can't honestly say what I would do or how I'm supposed to act, you know, like I don't think anybody can speak on how they would act or how they were supposed to act because no one knows. Just like when I was in the county jail facing the death penalty and everybody was like, oh, I would just go to death row. And I was trying to tell people, like, you don't know what you would do because you're not facing death penalty. You know, like everybody's big and bad until you're facing lethal injection, you know? So I don't know what I would do, honestly.
So looking back now, do you regret not going to trial and possibly getting the death penalty, or are you content with serving your life sentences?
It depends. Some days I wish I did get the death penalty. Some days I'm glad that I'm in prison with life. Well, that sounds stupid. Some days I'm glad I'm alive. Some days I wish I wasn't. It just depends on the day. Like, I don't know. I feel like I deserve the death penalty because essentially I shot 3 men over a piece of paper because that's all it is. Even though the government gave it monetary value, it's still a piece of paper. So, you know, basically I took 3 lives over a piece of paper. So, yeah, I feel like I deserve to be on death row. But I'm not. So I'm glad. The only thing that I wish for is that when my daughter is old enough that I could be some type of value and help to her in any way I can. When a lot of these younger cats come to prison and they're going to be out of prison, you know, and they all come to prison is talking about doing drugs and shooting guns and gang banging. Like, I try to show them other ways and teach them, you know, like, and I try to, like, be an example. Like, you don't want to be here for the rest of your life, like me. Like, look at me. Like, do I look like I want to be here, you know? Like, screw all that gang banging nonsense, you know? Like, so, I mean, I try to spend my time constructively. Even though I can't be out and be a productive citizen, at least I might be able to help somebody else be a productive citizen when they get out of jail, you know? So I try to do the little amount that I can to help, but I mean, it's not like it's going to be enough good. I just try to, I try to do a lot of good for all the bad I did, but I've did a lot more bad than I have good, so I don't think I can make up fully for all that.
That's understandable. Does anybody have any comments or any questions for Johnathan?
No, but I do applaud him. I do applaud him for trying to be a role model for the people who are in there. I really do, and for owning his mistakes.
I do too, and for his total honesty.
They said that they
Same.
applaud you for your honesty.
And being a role model.
Yeah, I've always been a very blunt person. Never really been one to lie.
Are you able to call back one more time?
Alright. Yeah, I call back. I call back. I gotta get on the phone at 8:30 and call somebody. But yeah, I'll call back one more time.
Okay, sounds good.
I'm about to call back now.
All right.
Thank you for using GTL.
So Stephanie, might need some assistance with tracking down some property in Florida based on a serial killer's disclosure of potential additional victims. Well, St. Petersburg. There you go.
Oh, by the way, Tiff, I saw your comment earlier, and the only questions he doesn't want to talk about is his gang affiliation. Other than that, anything is game for him, honestly.
Do you see that? Amy messaged her.
I will. I don't like talking about my gang affiliation either.
That's funny. Are you a Crip or a Blood?
No, I'm in the pimp parking. That's what that's for.
Wabash Valley Correctional Facility. To accept this call, your current balance is $14.77. This call is from a correction facility and is subject to monitoring and recording. Thank you for using GTL.
All right. So we can have one more call because I know you got to call somebody soon. But speaking of mental health earlier, you said that in our interview that we did, the 2-part interview, you said that you get upset when people start like banging on the door and screaming and yelling. How do you keep yourself like calm and cool from not like stabbing people or freaking out on people so you don't stay back there like indefinitely?
I take medication. That's about the only thing that works is my medication. I've been trying this for 8 years now. I was trying to learn how to control it. And I've learned how to self-control a lot, but not enough. Like, I don't think I'm ever going to learn how to self-control because they said I had PTSD, and there's not going to be no full self-control without my medication. The medication gives me enough, like, it calms me down enough to where, like, I can just be like, take a deep breath and, like, okay, this dude's an idiot. He keeps banging on things for no reason. It's okay. I'm calm. But without that, I'll just be like, I'll cuss him out. And if he says anything back, then I'll have to hit him in his mouth. And then I'll be right back in trouble. So, yeah, it's just the medication. That's it. Like, if I was free, I would probably get a weed card for my PTSD and eat some gummy bears or whatever they're doing nowadays. And I'm pretty sure that would calm me down a lot. But honestly, it's just the medication. That's about it. And there's nothing else that can work. When I hear very loud noises or somebody's very loud for no apparent reason, it makes something inside of me start rumbling or something. Like, I don't know how to describe it. It makes me feel like I'm being shot at or something. It's like making me feel, I don't know how to describe it. It makes my adrenaline rush, my heart beat really quick. It makes my palms sweaty, and I just want them loud noises to stop as quick as possible. And I'm in prison. It's not like I can just walk up and be like, hey, can you stop doing what you're doing? Because then somebody's going to look at you and they're going to act like you're stupid or something. So because I'm in prison, I would just immediately ask him one time, assertively, if that don't work, then we're just going to fight or stab, depending on what's going on.
So somebody had asked if you were in general population or solitary, but Amy had responded to them. They asked if you were in 23-1, like how many hours a day are you locked down in solitary confinement?
Yeah, I was just in general population, and they said that I put a gang hit on somebody else. That's what they accused me of. Which if I did that, that's better than doing it myself, I guess. But anyways, yeah, now I'm in solitary confinement, which is 23 and I don't know how to describe it. It's 23 and 1 most days out the week, but not every day. Some days are 24-hour lockdown. So yeah, it's basically 24-hour lockdown. I think 3 or 4 days out the week, and then 23 and 1 the other days.
And she asked, the same person asked, do you have a chance of going back to general population?
Yeah, I'm about to get back out to general population in 29 days.
And how do you see yourself living in general population without going back to solitary?
Oh, I just play day by day. That's all I can do. The only thing, my goal now is when I get out there is to try to not really gangbang like I was doing before, because I realize that's going to get me in trouble too much. Probably get back into education. I think I'll try to get my high school diploma instead of my GED because I only need a few credits left. Start going to church. Anything I can do to get out of my cell, get a job, education, church, whatever I can do to stay out of my cell and stay busy is the only thing that's going to keep me out of trouble, because when I just sit around a bunch of other men that are not doing nothing or talking about nothing, all they want to talk about is drugs and getting high and who's more of a tough guy and all that, it's just going to get me in trouble. So just trying to keep my mind distracted from where I'm at.
Good for you, though, getting it done. I said, good for you getting that done.
All I heard was getting that done.
She said, good for you getting that done.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
So, do you plan on going to college or anything like that? Are you eligible to go to college?
Yeah, we can go to college here, but they make us pay for it, and it's really expensive. So I don't know how they expect. I would have to sell drugs in here to make the money to pay for college. And if I get caught selling drugs, I'm going to be right back in lockup where I can't go to college. So I don't really know how they expect me to do that unless I, have somebody out there that's going to pay for that.
What would you want to do?
I honestly wouldn't want anybody to pay for me to go to college, because it's not like I can get a special job in here with a college degree, so there's just really not no point in me going to college at this point, unless by somehow they tell me I'm going to go home one day, and then maybe, yeah. Otherwise, there's not really no point in spending $1,000 on the college degree.
What would you want to do?
If I can get out and work. Well, when I was a kid, I wanted to be an archaeologist. I always loved that idea, but I don't know. There's so many things that I could get into. There's just a lot of things. I would like to, be a counselor or something, or a psychologist, or a chef, or I said, like some job where I could travel the world, because I like getting to that. Like I binge watched the Discovery Channel and the History Channel and, you know, things like that. Like I'm obsessed with learning things. So, and I always see them in Yucatan or, you know, over in Rome or Greece or Italy, you know, like I would love to be out in them places where I can see all the old civilizations and things they built, you know, like the Gaza Strip in Egypt. Like I would just love to be out there where I could see things like that. So I don't know. Like I said, there's a lot of things I would do if I could get out. First thing I would not do is just go back to what I was doing before. Like, I wouldn't want to be, I would probably move out of the city if I could get out and live in the country for a while. You know, like I would just want to stay away from people for a while, you know. 'Cause, man, it's so bad out there right now. It was bad out there before, but it's so bad out there now. Like they're having politic wars. They're about like having civil wars out there and all type of crazy stuff. So I don't know. I could see you got normal college students and civilians out there rioting for no apparent reason. So I can only imagine what my crazy self would do if I was out there younger. You know, like I would just be down there doing stuff to do it.
It's funny that you mentioned that you might want to be a counselor, because somebody said you would make a good counselor for the youth.
Oh yeah, I know. I've been in counseling since I was 9 years old. In every different type of counseling. I've even been in rehab, like NAAA. I've been in all that. So I didn't really take what they said and used it, but I listened to everything they say, and you know, like just observe and listen. That's what I do. So that's really what I do. Like my little cousin, he's trying to stay sober, because most of my family on both sides, they have addiction problems. So, you know, he has alcohol addiction, and he's trying to stay sober, and I like talking to him and trying to help him out. Because I mean, that's all people really need is help. If people can't find the way by themselves, they need to be led. And if you lead them and that still don't work, then they just got to find it by themselves. If they still can't find it, then I don't really know what else to tell them.
Somebody asked if you'll ever be up for parole.
I mean, as crazy as it sounds, there's definitely a possibility. They change laws all the time. And I was a teenager when I caught my case. I couldn't even buy alcohol or nothing. I couldn't go to most strip clubs. So, I mean, there's always a chance that further on down the line, in 20 years from now or something crazy like that, that I might be able to go home. I might be an old man, but, I mean, it's better than nothing. So who knows?
Right. I think you missed life with the possibility of parole by 2 years, right? Because you were 19 at the time.
Yeah.
Are they still sentencing juveniles to life without parole in Indiana, or is that like a legal thing?
Oh, I'm sure they still are. Indiana does not care about. They don't care about that being broke and progressiveness, and they don't care about nothing like that. Like, this is a old school Republican state. This is going to be the last state to make marijuana legal. Like, this is going to be the last state to do anything like that. You can be 15 years old and they will try to give you a death penalty. Like, they don't care.
Oh, somebody asked how many victims you had.
In this case, it was 3 men.
Hey, you can always become a jailhouse lawyer in the meantime.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have very much patience for that. I don't think, like, honestly, these men in here, I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's all the drugs that's in these prisons. They are so ignorant, and I can't deal with a bunch of ignorant people. Like I could be a jailhouse lawyer and deal with people that actually want to learn and help themselves. But most of these men here, they don't. They want to come in here, get high, and go right back out there and do the same thing that they were doing to get themselves in here. So, I mean, like I said, I try to help the ones that I feel like are worth helping. I feel like that are actually trying to change, even a little bit, if I can see it. But a lot of these guys, like, they don't want to change. They don't care.
You know, they say that there's some theories out there that the parole boards are only releasing people that they know will come back, and you're kind of making that argument for them.
I totally believe that. Like, I mean, I'm not much of a conspiracy theorist, but yeah, I can totally see that. Like I see a lot of crazy stuff. Like, there's a lot of people that really would go home and not come back, but they're not letting the people go. They're letting people go that's in here overdosing and beating up the correctional officers and stuff. Like, they're like, yeah, just go home, yep. And they go home and overdose on fentanyl or get locked back up in a month.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, thank you for chatting with us again, just in case we get cut off.
Yeah, you're welcome. I mean, it's always something to do, something to talk about.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh yeah.
And Amy, all you got to do is give me a time to call you, and I can call you. I just know that you're really busy, so, you know.
I just teach at nighttime right now during the summer on Monday nights from 6 o'clock my time. I'm on Eastern until 8:30.
What time zone am I at?
You're on.
I don't know, what time is it there?
It's 8:02 right now.
Okay,
Okay,
yeah,
well
so
then
you
we're
and
on the
Katie are in
same.
the same time zone.
Parts of Indiana has daylight savings and
Your
part
time.
doesn't. Or it used to be that way. So we're the same.
Yeah, so she can talk Tuesday through Sunday, basically like anytime after like what 1 p.m. your time.
No, I mean I'm up early working. Not too early though, because I'm not a morning person. You won't like me in the morning.
I'm getting a lot of mixed answers here.
Anytime after 10 a.m. How about that?
What'd she say, bro? Anytime after what?
Anytime after 10 a.m. Eastern.
Oh, okay. All right. Nobody else has questions.
Stephanie asked, what's the craziest thing you've witnessed being there?
Say what?
What's the craziest thing that you've witnessed in prison?
What's the craziest thing? What?
That you've witnessed since being in prison?
That I've witnessed?
Yeah.
I watched somebody, like, there was this guy, he really wanted to get high, like he was a drug addict. So this other guy, he's been locked up like 20, 30 years, gave him this paper to smoke. You know, they smoke that K2 paper, but they never know what's on it. Most of the time, there's like heroin on it and stuff. And he let him smoke it, and the guy passed out. And you know, like, they closed the door, and like 30 minutes later, the guy that smoked it came out, and he was like screaming he got raped. So basically, the one guy gave him a piece of paper that probably had fentanyl on it, and when the dude passed out from the fentanyl, he got raped.
Oh, jeez.
Wow.
Yeah. Normally we do that with like people. Well, be careful what I'm saying on here. But normally that's a good way to stab somebody. If you're trying to do that, you'll like get somebody, because everybody does drugs or they drink. So you could put like fentanyl in the wine or the paper, and once they go to sleep, then they're not going to fight back very much. So, or you just poison them with fentanyl. I mean, prison's a dangerous place. That's why I don't really do drugs. And if I do drink, I make my own liquor.
We'll have to
Yeah.
talk about that one day because I'm curious about that. I have so many questions.
All that liquor?
Listen, I have so many questions. Like, I have been writing a book for a dude about his time in prison, and I've heard so many stories, and we've talked about like where people hide like razors and stuff like that, and I have so many questions about that. I have questions for people who fling their poop like they're, you know, primates, where that gets stored and how they do that. And I have to figure out all this stuff too, because I have to write it in the book, because these are things that he wants to cover in it. And I'm just like, I don't want to go there.
Oh yeah, I
Listen,
just
Stephanie, you know you're thinking what I'm thinking
each
too.
other all day for like an hour straight the other day.
It's
Damn,
just,
that's insane.
oh, he didn't even tell us about Delphi, dude.
Oh yeah, how's before we get cut off in a few minutes, how's old Richard Allen doing in there?
So my brothers had flooded out his room, so he got on the range and said, fuck my organization, right? And so he went out direct the next day, and 3 of my brothers spit on him, and he didn't tell him either, which was surprising. And he was just out there cussing at him and stuff. So besides that, he's doing pretty good. I actually talked to him. I talked to him the other day. I was at Inside Rec. I couldn't look him in his face, but I talked to him to the door, and I was like, hey, Richard Allen. He's like, what? I'm like, what do you think they're gonna do to you? He's like, it's all in God's hands, man. He's like, it's all I got left. And I'm like, oh yeah. I'm like, why'd you do that? He says, I don't know, man. I just shook my head and walked away. It's like, dude, it's crazy.
You have 1 minute remaining.
Did you see Stephanie's question?
I got 20 minutes left.
Is he slow?
Yeah, Richard Allen.
He's not slow?
No, he's not slow. He's not crazy. He's not slow. He's not in here sick, mentally sick like they show that picture. He's not like that at all. He's in there eating good. He's not stupid, slow, or crazy.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
He's pretty normal, except for his case.
So he's acting. He needs to get an Oscar.
Yeah, that's what I told him. I told him that his lawyer's defense about the cult thing was really stupid.
All right. Well, I know it's about to cut us off, so I'll talk to you like in a few hours or tomorrow or so. Okay.
All right, bro. I'll call you in like a few hours. So.
Okay. All right. Thanks for calling.